You know how, every now and then, something comes along that articulates something perfectly. Something comes along that those it refers to go into full panic mode. Something goes against their chosen programming, and they don't know how to respond to it. As an introduction, let's take a look at a video from Boston Antifa. No, this isn't a parody. This is actually real.
Okay, Dustin29 here, Boston Antifa. I'd like everyone to repeat after me. NPC mean go away. We are human here to stay. NPC mean go away. We are human here to stay. NPC mean go away. We are human here to stay. Shame, 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 shame.
Thanks, Dustin. I'm sure you'll go on to be very successful in life. The NPC meme has exploded in the past week or so. In case you don't already know, NPC stands for non-playable character. You know how, when you're playing a video game, you often run into these computerized characters that are designed to merely repeat the same lines over and over again? Well, NPCs are pretty much the real-life version of that. We've called these people third-wave feminists. We've called them SJWs. But somehow, this acronym seems to fit perfectly. I don't think it's a coincidence that NPCs started to rise not long after the explosion of social media. It's a biological need of humans to fit in with other humans, so they try to emulate the actions and beliefs of those around them. The problem is that, thanks to a celebrity-worshipping society, they mirror the actions of the very few. If John Oliver or Trevor Noah said it, then it must be true. If MSNBC or CNN said it, then of course, it must be true. Those that don't follow their very narrow worldview are the enemy. They are to be destroyed. I'd be willing to bet that if a study were to be done on the IQs of NPCs in comparison to the rest of us, NPCs would test significantly lower. I think the difference between both groups is the ability to think critically. It's ironic that a central mission of most universities in the past was to train students to think critically, but now they are little more than NPC programmers. While adhering to groupthink is an outcome of our need to fit in, those that are capable of critical thinking should be able to see past these attempts at programming. The NPC narrative is very simple. It has to be, because there is very little evidence to back up its primary claims. The basic NPC prime directive is, straight white males are the enemy, unless you follow us. But you must check your privilege. But even if you do that, you're still the enemy. All other groups are oppressed. Everything an NPC says and does comes back to this primary narrative, or programming. What's depressing is that NPCs do not make up the majority of society. They are probably less than 10%, but they are by far the most vocal. Most regular people who work regular jobs and live regular lives are not NPCs. I think, outside of IQ, real-world experience is another factor that dictates whether or not one is an NPC. This is a primary reason why most NPCs are young, mainly in their 20s. Not only do NPCs lack the intelligence to engage in critical analysis, they don't have the real-life experience to understand how the world actually works. They are disproportionately university students. The social sciences and humanities did have a place once, but they don't anymore. Any young person in 2018 who decides to take out loans for a degree in either of these areas, rather going into something useful, like trades or STEM, is a moron. That's why they become easy targets for university brainwashing. It's no wonder why university standards have had to drop through the floor. They become puppets of upper middle class and upper class far left extremists. I've had more than a little experience with NPCs on this channel. At one point, I would try presenting them with logic to counter their very flawed arguments, but they would just keep repeating the same phrases over and over again. It became quite tedious. These days, it's fairly rare that I'll bother interacting with them. I just let them dig their own holes and let other commenters pounce on them. I very rarely even block them anymore, unless they start to annoy the hell out of me by spamming my entire channel. Perhaps my favorite example is my video called "Is Doctor Who Becoming a PR Disaster?", which I published over a year ago. This video was one of the first that I did on the 13th Doctor, and it was around this time that it started to become clear that there was an agenda afoot. Just take a look at the comment section for this video. The NPC groupthink labeled me as a sexist bigot. There was no logic to their argument. It was just repeating the same buzzwords over and over again. What I've always found to be particularly amusing about the response to this video is that most NPCs never bothered to actually watch the video. If you actually watch the video, I propose a hypothetical example of a female actor who I thought would have been a much better choice for the 13th Doctor. I was going after the agenda, against the intrusion of what we now call NPC propaganda. I then went on to make disclaimers in my videos, making my position very clear. The NPCs would still accuse me of the same things over and over again. Their programming is pretty persistent. There are a few that have been posting the same program messages on every video I post for over a year now. When my regular subscribers try to counter their idiocy with logic, some just disappear only to reappear to repeat the same stuff when I post the next video. At this point, I frankly find it hilarious. And that's it for today. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and check out my other channel, Bowles Trek Media, for Blu-ray and technology videos. And as always, everyone, thank you for watching and have a great day.